Before we dive in, at the end of this video, I'm going to be announcing something new that I'm going to try out on this channel, so stick around. All right, so my first two trades of 2023 are complete. Off to a really good start. I'm up $942 on the day, which is a much needed buffer. I really needed to get a couple wins in, and I did it. So on to the next. All three trades were losers today. I kept them pretty small. I just traded one contract. So on the day, I'm down $600. So it was a bit of a disappointment today, but at least I kept my losses relatively small. So on to the next. Unfortunately, Thursday brought back some old bad trading habits. Forcing some trades, taking trades without a solid plan, just not what I had been working towards. I ended up losing $281 that day. Now on to Friday. Oh man, we had been trading in this range on the ES for like 14 days, and everyone and their mom was waiting for the non-farm payroll numbers to come out an hour before the market opened, anticipating a long-awaited range break. I got up early, watched as the algos reacted to the numbers, and again, got caught up on the idea of catching the range break before it happened. I tried shorting, got stopped out, and tried again, but this time I did something I have avoided doing in a long time, and that's averaging down. I sold short another contract, but alas, I was over leveraged and got stopped out on both. So before the market even opened, I was in the red $825. And because my trailing max drawdown was $50,000 and my account opened that day with $50,742, I broke a rule and failed step one. This was demoralizing. The last couple of days felt like how I would trade a year or two ago. It was the return of bad habits, FOMO, over leveraging, just not good trading, and no one to blame but myself. Friday was also the day that part one of this challenge series went live on YouTube, and I got a ton of really nice comments and really helpful suggestions, so thank you all for leaving me comments. I read all of them, and I appreciate people genuinely trying to help me improve. So it is now Sunday. I paid $50 to reset my account on Top Step, and I'm gonna make some improvements. First, I think I'm gonna try sizing down, maybe using 4 micro ES contracts instead of 1 or 2 minis. This should help me give my trades a little bit more breathing room and remove the desire to move my stop loss to break even when I'm in a trade. Another one of my goals is to avoid trading or just trade smaller size on days when the market is balanced and there isn't a lot of follow through in market direction. I think these simple tweaks alone can make a big difference. So I've got a clean slate. Let's do this. All right, so the account is reset and I'm down trading 4 micro ES contracts. So let's go over the trades for today. I was looking for a break of 39.54 to play long. I ended up doing 4 micro contracts. Unfortunately, I still got stopped out even with what I thought was a decent stop loss. It was about 5 points. So I took the loss there and then it left without me as usual. That's all right. So for the second trade, we dropped below VWAP. I was still looking long. Seemed like a good bear trap, and we printed a 15-minute bullish hammer. I went ahead and took it long. Started working out, but then was quickly rejected, and we sold off, and I got stopped out there as well. So both trades were losers, but I feel pretty good about both of them. I think they're both justifiable trades to take. Just didn't work out for me this time. So I'm gonna end the day down $254. Not a big deal. All right, pretty choppy day today. Let's take a look at the trades. I went long on a pullback after we had a nice buying at the open. Got stopped out for 6.5 points. Then my second trade, I went long just above VWAP after we tested it, looking for a bounce off VWAP. We made a lower low, bounced up again, and at this point, I decided to increase my stop loss by just a couple points because if we broke that lower low we just created, I no longer wanted to be long in that trade. I bumped the stop loss up just below that swing low, and lo and behold, it stopped me out and immediately reversed. In like 20 seconds, it pumped like 15 points. So that was incredibly frustrating. That was definitely a liquidity hunt. Not for any of my tiny little orders because this is just a demo account. That was just really frustrating because I was really trying not to move stop losses, but I moved it because my thesis of the VWAP bounce would have been incorrect if it made a lower low, and I didn't want to be in the trade. So that was my reasoning for bumping that stop loss up. Hindsight, it's easy to say, should have left it as is. So I took one more trade for the day. We broke newer lows, and when it came back to retest the previous low, I went short and got stopped out. So very choppy action, really tough to read. So I'm gonna call it a day here. Pretty frustrating, down $414 on the day. On to tomorrow. Okay, I just exited my first trade. I sold short after we made new highs and it kept getting rejected. I held it for quite a while because it was pretty choppy morning. So I was in this trade for a total of like 43 minutes. And I took my first contract off at 14 points profit. I did move my stop loss a little tighter just because we had a really choppy range bound action for the first part of the morning. But I gave the trade plenty of room to work out. And then after I took my first contract off, I did move the second one to break even. Because if it retraced that entire amount, I'd probably just want to remove my risk completely. Real quick, I think it's worth mentioning that, yeah, $188 profit isn't a huge deal. And if I had been trading 2 mini contracts like I had in part 1, that's almost $1,900 in profit. But that wouldn't have been smart. Since restarting step 1, I haven't had one green day. And on top of that, the market's just been in a range. So my focus has been to tighten my executions and not worry so much about profit. Because once I'm really nailing my trades, the profit will come. So monetarily, not a huge day, but from a process perspective, this is exactly what I've been trying to accomplish. And it was honestly really simple to do. So the first trade is in the books. I just played a simple break and retest once we broke 39.30 and retested it and it held. I went long and it was a 2-to-1 risk ratio. My target was 9 points away. I was risking about 4 points. And so my first target hit and I moved my stop loss to just about break even. And my second target got hit, which was 39.45, but I moved it higher just to see if we'd get some continued momentum, but SPY's bumping against the 50 daily moving average right now. So I went ahead and took the trade off for about 15, 16 points or so. So I'm up on the day $120. So it was a great trade, followed the plan, and worked out nicely. So over the next few months of trading, I had some decent weeks. Here in February, I had a profit of $615. I had a couple of decent weeks in March as well. But then this would happen. I start gaining some momentum and then give it all back. All right, well, we're now in June. I took the last 2 months off from trading, which I talked about in my last video, but I am now back working on the combine again. After my last update in January, I decided to stop filming daily recaps because I was essentially treading water. My losing days were larger than my winning days, so maybe I'd make a couple $100, but then lose $800 the next day. The main reason for this is because I get overconfident in a setup on days that are just low probability environments to be trading in. So I take 2 or 3 stabs at a trade and it just doesn't pan out as I expected. So I need to do a better job of taking the market context into consideration to ensure that the setup I'm looking for is valid. It's also worth mentioning that Top Step have made some changes to the program. They eliminated the $1,000 daily loss rule, so now if you do lose $1,000, instead of breaking a rule and having to reset, you just get locked out for the day, which is a really nice change. Once you do pass step 2, you get to keep your first $10,000 instead of just $5,000, which again is a nice change to see. And another thing, Tradeovate, which is the platform I've been trading on, has been experiencing a ton of technical issues and outages the past few months, so I am going to move my Combine away from there into MotiveWave. There aren't a lot of futures platforms that work well on Mac computers, but so far I'm impressed with how easy it is to set up and get around in, so the learning curve shouldn't be too bad. Also, in part 1 of this series, I got about 1.5 million comments telling me to learn ICT, which for the uninitiated is a trader that goes by the name Inner Circle Trader. I watched maybe a dozen videos of his 2022 mentorship series, and there are some interesting concepts, but in some ways it feels like he's just overcomplicating price action, and for some reason all of his followers sound like they're in a cult.
You have more fun as a follower, but you make more money as a leader.
I'm intrigued, but I've not fully bought into it yet. Here's what I've been thinking. Instead of waiting months between updates, why not try some live streaming while trading the Top Step Combine so you can all follow along in real time, hang out on the stream, and troll me. So starting this Monday morning, I'll be doing some live day trading here on the channel. And obviously I'm not a pro trader, so adjust your expectations. If you just want to see what an average guy's attempt at passing the Combine is like, well, come hang out. And if you want to try to pass the Top Step Combine along with me, the link in the description will save you 20% and it'll help this channel out at the same time. That's all for this one. I'll see you next week. They'll see me next week, can you believe it? Agabagoo. It's a good boy.